Hi guys, it's Verity from Honeypot here, your bride-to-be. So this is the very first week of our bride-to-be wedding planning series, which is all kind of based around my wedding planning journey, which I just got engaged, so I'm very excited to be starting that, and also all of the stuff that I've picked up from working in the wedding industry for a couple of years. So hopefully it'll be really helpful for you. We'll be putting out a blog and a video every week, and feel free to let us know if there are any particular topics that you'd like us to cover. So this week is all about the first things that you need to do when you get engaged. So obviously for a lot of people, you get engaged, maybe you've been thinking about your wedding for years, maybe you've never thought about it at all, but either way there are kind of a few key things that you need to do when you get started, and that could be a few weeks after you get engaged, it could be straight after you get engaged, it doesn't have to be at any particular time. So the first thing which you should do as soon as you can, and hopefully maybe your fiance might have thought about it beforehand, is making sure that your ring is insured. So whether you've got an existing contents policy that you can get it put on, whether you need to get specific jewelry insurance, just make sure that it's covered, because the last thing that you want to do is lose it and then not be able to replace it. So that's kind of the first thing, but then the rest of the stuff can happen whenever. So the main kind of things to think about are what I would class as numbers is number one. So much as it's hard to get together a guest list at any point, and particularly when you've first gotten engaged, unfortunately that affects most of the stuff that you do in your wedding. So it affects where you can get married, it affects how much it's going to cost, a whole heap of stuff. So first things first, kind of sit down and try and nut out a bit of a vague guest list. The second thing would be having a think about what kind of wedding you'd want. So maybe sit down with your partner. What we did was sit down and have a think about what are the most important things to us. So stuff like, is it that we get to spend time with our family and friends? Is it that we get to spend time together? Is it the food? For us, it definitely is the food. Is it that you get to have awesome music and have a kick-ass party? Think about the important things in the wedding for you guys, and whether there's any particular style that you might like. Have you been dreaming of this big, glamorous, sparkly wedding for years, or do you like the idea of having something really casual in, your parents' backyard or something? Because that's going to give you a real idea of where to look for venues, what kind of venues you might be interested in, and what sort of places that you can consider in your wedding planning. So those are the main things to think about. One, make sure that you've got your ring insured. Two, have a think about numbers and who you would be inviting. And then three, what's important to you? What are the things that you have to have in your day? What's your style? Because from that, that's how you can start to make all the other decisions. And over the next few weeks, I'll be chatting about all those kind of things and what to consider with all of those decisions, and giving you some really good resources for that as well. So make sure you comment below with any advice or feedback that you might have for other brides, or if you've got any questions or things that you'd really like us to cover, then let us know. Otherwise, pop over to our blog, and I've gone into all of those things in a little bit more detail, so it might be a useful reference tool to go back to. Thanks again, and I will see you next week on Bride to Be.